Alrighty, I think that we can get going, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I'm going to turn it immediately over to Dennis and Tomas to kind of let you know what we're talking about here today. So enjoy and um, hope you learn a lot.
Great, thanks, Nick. I'm really grateful for all of you joining us this evening here at Heading Home. This format's a little different for us. We're normally sitting on a couch and we're enjoying one another's in-person company, but at Heading Home, we are very strictly following the governor's orders as best we can for the safety of staff, but also we have to stay healthy because we're frontline essential workers and responsible for over 500 people staying safe in our shelter system. And so as we work with face masks and distancing, we still love this part of our work, which is talking with you all, our donors and supporters and people who are sharing our interest in serving those in need. So welcome this evening. With me tonight is Tomas Ruiz. He's there in the photos that you're seeing, and we'll be talking here in a bit about his specific role with Heading Home. First, I just want to give a brief update, and that update is about where Heading Home has been over the past months during COVID. You probably know that we have here in Albuquerque 2 shelters that we operate. One is for families, women, and men, and that is on the west side, and it houses about 450 persons at a time. We operate Albuquerque Opportunity Center, which is an overnight shelter for men for 56 beds and an additional 30 24-hour beds for medical recuperation. When COVID hit, we immediately had to go to add 3 additional shelters. So we went from 2 to 5, and those additional 3 shelters were operated in our community centers around Albuquerque. Then in June, as those centers went back to service the wider community, in particular children working away from home on their education, we moved those operations into a hotel. And so at this current moment, we operate our 2 shelters and 2 hotels. The hotels house about, probably 200 people at this point, actually about 250. And what we're doing in those hotels is we're prioritizing families and people at high risk of COVID. So people who are elderly and have comorbidity, we're housing at these hotels. So that's our work right now. We continue all during this operation to do what we always do, which is our street outreach and our permanent supportive housing. So over the years, since I think 2011, I kind of stopped counting after we'd housed 800 people. So we house people and then we continue to provide support to them in their housing, whether that's food, assistance in their rent, helping their kids enroll in education. So we're doing all of those things. And as you all know, these have not been an easy 8 months for any of us. Our social distancing, having to quarantine. So I want you to just imagine for a moment all of those concerns, but you're trying to do it while you're living on the street. It's monumental. You've gone from survival mode to begin with to then add a pandemic on top of that. And the normal access to services has become quite restrictive and limited. So I know Thanksgiving's coming up next week, and I have so much to be grateful for. And the people we work with, they are incredibly grateful for what we do with them. I say, rather than for them, we do this with them. But I'm just so conscious of the challenges that people face. And so I'm grateful this season for all that I have. I'm also grateful for this work and to be able to serve others, and grateful for an amazing staff. We have over 120 staff that work with Heading Home. And tonight I'm really honored to be with Tomas. It looks like we're miles apart. He's actually downstairs in his office and I'm upstairs in my office. This is how we work these days. in the same building, but we still Zoom. So welcome, Tomas. I'm really glad you're joining tonight. You want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, so my name's Tomas Ruiz. I'm the furniture donation service manager for Heading Home. I started with the company roughly going on 4 years now. I started off as a client myself. I was homeless on the streets myself, and then had the opportunity to take a job position that was at the AOC campus as overnight security. And then since then, I've been working my way up, learning different positions from supervisor positions at the AOC to the security position to being able to fill in and work as a rover in different spots, to be able, like our wellness motel, I'm being able to learn some new spots there. But mostly I work inside our warehouse most all, and then I move in our clients. I would have to say one thing I'm grateful right now too is having the clients that we have with Heading Home and being able to have the staff and the team members we have with Heading Home. That's something I'm really grateful for, especially this time of year through holidays, to be able to give back. And especially because I've been there myself, and it's awesome to show the gratitude to be able to be there and know what it was like, but now to be able to supply everything.
And Tomas, it's kind of, I love watching your progress through Heading Home. It's in some ways similar to how I started with Heading Home. I worked as overnight security on the weekends. Then I worked in the shelter. And so I have a suspicion that you'll soon be sitting in my chair running the place and I'll be working for you. So tell us a little bit about that transition. What was that like for you as you moved into working with an organization that you had been coming to for services?
At first, it was kind of scary and hard, especially because a lot of the clients recognize me. But with the team that we have and such amazing team members, it was comfortable where it was like a loving type of environment. There was stuff that I didn't know. Like when I first came on, I didn't know how to type up an email. I had problems with reading and writing. And now 4 years later, I'm getting compliments on my email saying that they're looking good. So it was a challenge at first, but if you're willing to put in the work, and especially coming out of homelessness, that's one thing you got to be willing to do is put the hard work in, and it pays off in the end, especially when you got a good team behind you.
And I can vouch for your emails. I know you and I edited a couple back and forth. So the improvement is amazing. I mean, really, Tomas, you have so much to be proud of. In particular, the job that you're doing right now, I think I recently got to visit Tomas in our warehouse, and we'll talk about what the warehouse is, but it was quite something to see the operation that Tomas has set up. So why don't you, Tomas, just kind of walk through a donation from the door of the donor to the storage and then to the delivery? Just kind of how does that work?
Okay. So starting off Monday through Thursday, we take calls here in the office, and then we start by scheduling. So Monday through Thursday, we schedule to pick up for Friday. We start our pickups at Friday in the morning at 7 o'clock, and we pick up till 12. And then we start our move-ins from 1 in the afternoon till 5 on Fridays. But when we start with the donation pickup, it's kind of pretty awesome because right now with COVID and everything, we adapted. So we've been doing donation pickups only. So we come out to the address, we schedule a time, roughly anywhere 6 to 7 pickups on a Friday. There's times we have 10. That's more the merrier. It's awesome for our clients. We need the stuff. We go through it quite a bit. And we quarantine everything for 96 hours. We put that in our storage facility. Then from our storage facility, we go ahead and bring it over to the warehouse. So it's kind of doing double work, but not too much, because when it's coming to sorting everything, it kind of helps out sorting it before it goes into the storage and then the warehouse. And then we have our warehouse set up where we have caseworkers that come in that talk to the clients, and they get a wish list of what they would like. And right when you walk into the door, we have anywhere from cups, plates, utensils, kitchen items, to pillows, blankets. And then we move to another part of the warehouse that has hygiene And then we moved to another part of the warehouse that has blankets, pillows, washcloths, towels, and then another part of the warehouse that we store our furniture. And with the furniture, we provide a bed. Every client that we get gets a twin bed right off the bat, brand new, still in plastic. And then furniture, we work off of donations. So like the couches and dresser, if we have them, we'll go ahead and give them. But that's something that we kind of need donated quite a bit, or stuff like that, like the furniture.
Yeah, it's so those of you watching this, we're obviously going to welcome any donations. You'll be seeing Tomas at your house picking them up. And also, as we're going through, feel free to use the chat to put in any questions. We'll be getting to questions here in a few minutes. Just we have a couple more things we'd like to share, but feel free in the chat if you're on Zoom or in the feed on Facebook, you can type in questions there if you're joining us via Facebook. Yeah, so what Tomas's role is really sprung out of our experience of moving somebody from the street into an apartment or a home and realizing that they were going from all the stimulation of living on the street with all of their friends, and suddenly they were in four walls and a ceiling and enclosed, and they were empty spaces. Not a great recipe for success. So sometimes people say, well, people don't want housing, and it really helps to dig in behind what kind of housing was offered. And so what Heading Home is committed to doing is not just saying, here are your keys to your new place and you're on your own. Tomas and his volunteer come behind that move-in and make it a real home. They set up the kitchen, they set up the bedroom. We even have a partnership with Harwood Community Arts Center, and people can select pieces of art to place on their walls. So it really is an amazing example of a community coming together and welcoming our neighbors back into homes. Tomas, I wanted to know, is there any particular moment or memory that stands out for you during your time with Heading Home?
So I would have to say there's quite a few that stand out, but one the most has to deal, and it's a lot of life, are my AOC clients and the WEC clients, the West Side Shelter clients. They're so used to being on the streets for 10, 15 years straight that when they first get housed, it's still unreal to them. So that excitement on their face of like, I don't have to set up a tent. I don't have to sleep in a sleeping bag. I like what you were just saying. They have the four walls. They get the kitchen table, the coffee table, the couch, the bed. And to them, it's like overwhelming to like the small stuff we take for granted. And like what we have in our homes, in our house, you would be surprised. Like when they get that bed, that's all they thought they were getting, the bed. And then you're like, no, hold on. I got more stuff to bring in. And then when you bring the more stuff in and you just see the smile start from a small one, and before you know it, it's like you made their day. And that's just, for me, those are the ones that are the ones that stand out the most. And then I would have to say our family move-ins quite a bit. And it's more of the kids. The kids will come up. Even now through COVID, we're still doing our restrictions, but you still have kids that are happy. Like, can I at least wave to you and tell you thank you? So it's excitement. Yeah.
And I would think too that it can be overwhelming and scary. Suddenly I'm responsible for a new home, and you're having gone through that experience. I just imagine you're being the point person. Like you can relate to somebody's experience as they're moving in and how encouraging that must be for them. Is that something that happens?
It happens quite a bit. There's times that I catch myself, especially when I leave, and it reminds me of where I was at. And then to be able to know with the compassion on how to talk to the client, because especially understanding where they're coming from. Because sometimes you get the clients that are excited, and then you have the clients that are still in shock. Like they just don't want to believe it. And even when you leave, you can see on their face like they're in shock. So with going through this, I would have to say that I have an upper hand, and it's awesome. I love my position.
Yeah, and I'm sure those of you watching can tell, Tomas has such a genuine personality, so accessible. We could not have, Tomas, just telling you directly, we could not have a better person in this position. Yeah. Um, yeah, really proud of you. How does somebody donate to Heading Home?
So I was just actually going to get to that. So you can feel free to look at our website right now. It's www.headinghome.org. And you feel free to go on there, check out our website, check out on the donations. And then if you would like also, if anybody would like to get involved in volunteering, we accept volunteers to come out to the warehouse to help sort. We're always looking for people to sort. And then we also look for people to come out and help do move-ins as well. So if you would like to see how the experience is, feel free to fill out the application to volunteer on the website, and you guys are more than welcome to come on out and see how we do this hands-on.
Great. And then Tim or Nick, if you could put Tomas's phone number and extension into the chat, people could have that as well. Then we also have our Holiday of Hope coming up.
Yes, Holiday of Hope.
It's a COVID-safe donation. We're going to be doing a drive downtown here at our offices. It's December the 5th. So it's a week and a half away. It's after the stay-at-home orders. It's at 215 3rd Street, Southwest. It's our office downtown. We're on the corner of Silver and 3rd. And we'll be here from 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. So if you have any items you'd like to donate, you can bring, yeah, we've got it up there on the screen now as well. So, and also you can, if you don't have anything to donate, but you want to do some support, we created an Amazon wish list. And so there are some commonly asked for items from those that we house. And so you can just have those items shipped directly to us from the comfort of your own home if you choose to go that route. You know, one of the things that always amazed me when we first started giving things to people's homes, one of the most requested things was hygiene and household cleaning supplies. You know, it's like people they were tired of the dirty street. And so people, I think many of these homes are much cleaner than my house. If my own staff did a welfare check on me, I might be raking up there a little high as far as how good I clean or how badly I don't clean my house. So yeah, I want to see if there are any questions. I did see that there were from David and Jane. So good to see you both. Thanks for joining us. And David was asking and Jane were asking how many people in the shelters have been evicted during the pandemic. Boy, that's an insightful question, because it's slow but definite, where we're seeing first time experiences of homelessness. And I've seen that in particular. We had a gentleman who was in a shelter and he asked, I don't understand what case management is and why do I need it? He said, I've never been homeless. I don't know what this situation is. And when you walk into, particularly at the AOC shelter, you can spot somebody who's just been evicted because on their bed, they have a line of suits and shirts on hangers that they've just had to pull from their closet. Whereas somebody else who's been on the street, their collection looks very different. But we're starting to see, as you walk in, clear evidence of people experiencing homelessness for the first time. I think we're going to see a pretty big increase when the moratorium stops. I think December 31st, we're starting to see as a deadline for some of this financial assistance. So yeah, not a pretty picture. Are there other questions that people have? And it could be for Tomas or me. So if you have a question just for him or the work he does, it could be any of that.
It doesn't look like I have any on the Facebook live feed.
Okay.
I have a question, actually, just because I'm curious listening to you guys talk. I know that I'm not a typical audience member to ask a question. As these moratoriums are expiring, I was just thinking about this. Are there any resources that you are aware of that are available for people that are worried they may start to experience homelessness for the first time?
So, I just came from a phone call downstairs of one of our longtime clients. I met him first in 2011. He was one of our first 75 that we housed as heading home. And he's struggling. He's on Section 8 now. He's been housed since then, but he's struggling with his rent. And the resource that I can offer him, we have no money that's unrestricted that we can use, because this is only we can only help somebody who's already homeless getting into housing. So this guy was homeless, but now he's housed. He's struggling with his monthly rent. He's going to get money from his family a month from now. And the two resources, or the one resource that he has, is Bernalillo County just extended some rental assistance through December 15th, I think. The Mortgage Finance Authority, they've ended their rental assistance. Once in a while, Catholic Charities does, but this is going to become an increasingly big issue. So Nick, it's a good question, and the resources are scarce. We had a couple more questions coming in.
Yeah.
The particular items needed most, again, hygiene. And Tomas, what would you say? I heard you say dressers.
Hygiene, dressers, coffee tables. Beds we're kind of good on right now. It would just be more the furniture, like the kitchen tables and coffee tables and couches. And clothes right now, quite a bit. Holiday of Hope, again, right now, the sweaters, the beanies, all the stuff for the winter.
And you could answer this one too, I think, from your own experience. So what kind of supports are provided once people are housed?
So on the supports, like furniture wise and type?
Yeah, and are there other supports that families receive besides the furniture, as far as case management or check-in, that kind of thing?
So believe it or not, we have some other organizations that have support out there that you could look up quite a bit. They have some free stores. But believe it or not, we're actually one of the ones that step up in that part, where we're even being looked at to help other organizations with their clients when it comes to the furniture, when it comes to the hygiene and that type of stuff. So I would like to say we're kind of the ones right now leading on that and being able to show how we get the furniture, because there's not that many resources. There really isn't. When you move in, that's one thing too that I feel for our clients, and we get a lot of calls through the days. That's one thing I return a lot of messages for donations back, but I probably have the same amount of messages asking for services as well. So we do step in and fill in the gap when we have extra stuff, and that's why we would love the donations, and as much donations as we could get, from furniture to the household to the hygiene and cleaning supplies. We get quite a bit of calls for that.
Yeah, then there's also, we work with our partner agencies. So if somebody has a case manager with HopeWorks or Healthcare for the Homeless, we want to make sure that they maintain those connections. And so we try not to duplicate services, but through our great partnerships, we really rely on other specialties in those areas. Before COVID, we used to have monthly luncheons. We would do family visits. So we're a little restricted on that right now. We've got about, I'll say about 4 more minutes. We had a lot of questions come in, so I'm going to try to get through 2 or 3 of those really quickly here.
Dennis, I have a really good question from Helen Robertson on Facebook, and it's for Tomas. She asks, Tomas, looking back, what do you wish you knew about moving from homelessness into permanent housing when you were going through that transition? What advice could you pass on?
Great question.
Honest truth, let your pride go. Don't be scared to ask for help. Like, honest truth, that was one thing that kept me from asking for help, was letting my pride go. I just really had to just ask and do what the caseworkers asked. That's one thing too. With the caseworkers, they were there to help. So take that advice. That's one thing I tell a lot of my clients, like, I know the caseworkers want you to do this type of stuff, but sometimes it's to better yourself. So that's one thing I would have to say for sure, is you just got to be willing to be humble.
I think that's pretty sound advice for all of us. So I really appreciate, that's a good reminder for all of us. I'm going to close this out here with just a couple of plugs and a couple of comments to folks. We also accept vehicle donations. So if you have any, it doesn't even have to run. We have folks who will come and get it. It can be a bicycle, a tricycle, it can be an RV, a bus, or a boat, anything. And those are amazing. We flip them into, they're rehabbed for us with one of our partner agencies and sold to somebody who needs it. And then the money comes back to us. And again, reminding you to come back to headinghome.org. We have a list of our most needed items there. We have the Holiday of Hope campaign. Is all that information is there. Jim Stewart, if you want to give a call to Tomas or Tomas, Tomas is here right now. Jim is wondering if it's too late to arrange a pickup tomorrow.
We're actually on a standstill due to the governor's order. So
Okay.
December 5th, we'll be back up and running.
Great. So Jim, if you get in touch with Tomas for that, that would be great. So lots of other good questions in there, but I want to be respectful of everyone's time. Tomas, we could talk for an hour. I really appreciate you. Really good information. Thank you for being here and for all that you do.
Thank you.
And thank everyone for being here.
Thank you, guys.
Be safe. Have a good night.
Thank you, everybody.